take the bookends of a series split against the Tigers. Tonight, I'm joined by Will and James. Guys, it's just a series split. We didn't gain any ground or lose any ground in the standings, really. But how do you guys feel after this series?
You know, the Red Sox are playing like a very bad vacation. You schedule his vacation, you schedule a trip across the world, and then all the reservations are canceled. It starts raining, the pool's closed. But then when you're on your way home, you get bumped up to first class, and you're like, all right, that trip wasn't too bad, you know? Like, we got bumped up to first class, the luck's there, you sit in the office the next day, and you're like, all right, like, wasn't all too bad. But let's remember what actually happened during the vacation. Let's actually remember, let's say it was a great game. Let's make sure that we don't lose sight as to what transpired in the last 3 games of this series, and make sure that we're looking at the real picture of this team. This is our 4th series in a row, taking the last game of the series, and we've actually outscored opponents 31-14 in all 4 of those games too. So we played great games last games of the series, but now we need to kind of move that over to the rest of the series versus just the last game of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought today they showed great resolve. You know, they could have easily folded once Gray left the game injured, but they showed great resolve. Cedon Rafaela obviously coming through in the clutch. But overall in the series, you know, I think what stood out is Masataka Yoshida needs to play every day. You know, the walk-off on Friday obviously was great yet again today. And, you know, some unfortunate trends with Garrett Crochet was not great yesterday. But on the flip side, Ranger Suarez was even better on Friday night. This is the guy that they signed. This is the guy they paid $130 million for. He's looking like everything he was in Philadelphia. So, you know, overall an up and down series, not a ton to be excited about though, you know, sitting at 9-13 with the Yankees coming to town. So not in a great position and not any time to feel sorry for yourselves. You know, gotta pick yourselves up and keep it going because, you know, it's getting late early.
We had a really encouraging start on Friday night with Ranger Suarez. I mean, he was almost perfect. 8 innings, you know, 4 hits. He was a great, it's a great start to see after the really atrocious start and then 2 great bounce back starts where he hasn't given up a run in 14 straight innings. And then you go into 2 bad starts after that with Bayo, who was horrendous, only lasted 4 innings, walking the world. He couldn't get guys out, couldn't put guys away. And then Garrett Crochet, he looked good through the kind of the middle innings. And then in the 5th, he kind of lost it. We'll talk about him pretty soon. And then Sonny Gray, we lose him in the finale. Unfortunately, he goes on the IL today, and then we'll talk about that. It's probably going to be Peyton Tolley that takes the next 2 starts in the rotation, but we'll see as that comes later on. But yeah, we'll start with game 1. That's kind of the biggest positive of the game of the series. Yoshida with the pinch hit walk-off, a great start by Ranger Suarez, 8 shutout innings. Guys, what was your favorite part of that game? My favorite part, honestly, was just the uniforms they were wearing because it was nice to see those greens return. It always brings me joy watching the Red Sox wear those greens with the Fenway Park. It was on Apple TV, a great broadcast, a little bit of switch up from Nesson. I've had my criticism of Nesson. We'll get into that later, but yeah, just go ahead. We'll talk about Friday.
Ranger Suarez was awesome. I mean, this is the guy they paid $130 million to from Philly. He looked every bit the part of a legit number 2 to go behind Garrett Crochet. And he's, you know, the last 2 starts have been 2 of the best starts in baseball this season, especially a Friday night. You know, 8 innings, only 2 hits, 1 walk, struck out 4, was pitching great to contact. And I know we talked a lot about his pitch usage and mixage going into this start. The sinker was still his most used pitch, but just barely at 28%. The changeup right behind it at 26.9. So those were still his top 2. The curveball jumped to his 3rd most used pitch at 18.3. But his ERA is already down under 3.5. And considering where it started, he's down to 3.22. It's just great how he's, you know, found himself these last couple of starts. Didn't have a proper spring. You know, the spring World Baseball Classic coming back to spring training. Didn't really get his feet settled, but now that his feet are wet, he's doing everything well. He's pitching efficiently. He's pitching effectively. And I think the pitch mixage and usage is the biggest thing that we were watching. And that was exactly what he did on Friday night. He kept everyone off balance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Suarez was obviously my favorite part of that game too. I gotta say, that was a perfect tee up for the Celtics absolute stomping of the 76ers. If I'm a Philly fan, I'm like, you know, I'm in shambles right now. So that was great.
And they just got swept by the Braves. So it's, I mean, they're not much of a better spot than us right now.
They're not. And the 76ers are definitely not either. So that's gonna be a fun series to watch too. But coming back to this game too, like we just said, Suarez was absolutely nasty. That's 2 straight starts too. I think especially looking back at the series now, knowing that Sonny Gray is headed to the IL and we're going to be without Sonny Gray for a bit, now more than ever, it's important for someone like Suarez to step up and actually show us that he's worth the money that we're paying him, right? Like he could slide into that, number 2. We don't know where Crochet is going to be. We don't know what I'm sitting here. I have no idea what Crochet is going to give us his next start. It's great to know that at least Suarez has had 2 like stellar starts under his belt in a row, and hopefully he can continue that into his next start too. But that was awesome to watch.
Guys, I agree. Ranger Suarez. I was about to bring up the same point you did, Will. It's nice to have a number 2 starter you can absolutely trust when your ace is struggling. I think Garrett Crochet will get back to his ace status, but right now we don't know what we're going to get from him. We had a stretch of 3 or 4 innings in his start that we liked, and then he kind of lost it. So we don't know what we're going to get the next time out. And I agree with you. Ranger Suarez right now is my most trusted starter every time he takes the ball, and it's just from 2 starts. The offense wasn't great. They got shut down by Casey Mize. I'm going to give Casey Mize his respect because he looked very good. He struck out a ton of guys. He was pounding the zone. His stuff looked great all night. This is a former number 1 overall pick. This guy is not a bum. I know he hasn't really lived up to the hype, but this is a guy that can go out there and dominate a lineup. But the Red Sox were putting up pretty bad at bats. They didn't have a great approach. Obviously, they won the game with a Yoshida walk-off in extra innings, but they really should have won this game outright earlier with a couple. They could have just pushed across a couple runs against a guy like Casey Mize. It's not like they were facing Skubal that night. We'll talk about Skubal's start later. They didn't put up great at bats against him either, but they need to push across a couple runs against Casey Mize when you have your starter going out there and shoving it up the Tigers' butts. It was a pretty good offense as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest thing, the offensive theme, and Mize has had a solid season and struck out 7 on Friday, ERA down to 2.78. But I think overall the consistency theme with the offense, except for the last game of series, like you talked about earlier, Will, is just not being able to not even put teams away, just not pounce early and score first and take advantage of opportunities. And if you have an opportunity to put up a crooked number, it's only 1. Or if you have an inning, 2 on, nobody out, bases loaded, 1 out, whatever, it turns into a goose egg. So I think the biggest thing is just this offense's lack of ability to score runs. And we talked about it all offseason, lack of impact bats in the lineup. There's so much pressure on Anthony to do everything. I think getting him out of the leadoff spot might help a little bit, even if it's down to 2 or 3, obviously. You're not moving him down much further than that, but it just takes a little bit of the pressure off. But we talked about the lack of impact bats. Abreu's cooling down a bit. Obviously, Contreras, he's been solid, but he's not going to keep that up all season long. It's just, I think the overall inability to be dynamic offensively is really what's hurting this team.
Yeah. And once again, this is like such a consistent theme with this team is to make these, I don't want to say the word failure, but these pitchers that have performed, pitchers who have a career that is below what they were expected to perform at, right? We saw with Dustin May, we saw with Bailey Ober. Now we're seeing what we did against Casey Mize.
And Mize is a class above those guys, but
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But as a former first round pick,
number 1 overall pick. Yeah,
absolutely. And then to go out there and, get absolutely blown out by him. It's like, that's what the Tigers were hoping for from Casey Mize from his entire career so far. Right. And it's like, for us, we're making those guys look like those former versions of themselves. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, we know that Casey Mize had that, but let's not help them unlock that, right? If you look at Casey Mize too, all season he's had some really crazy strikeout numbers. You knew that he was going to be, carving us up in our lineup, but you got to be putting bat on ball, man. It's like you have to find a way to get through to him. It's unbelievable. And yet another game with, I think it was 9 strikeouts overall. Casey Mize had 7, but it's just these strikeouts keep adding up, and it's like you're hurting your own self when you're striking out 9, 10, 11 times a game.
One thing that I've been thinking about over the last few nights, especially, but really over the course of the season, like on paper, the lineup doesn't look bad, and there's a lot of good individual parts. There's just no like lineup chemistry. Like it's a lot of good individual parts that don't hit well together as a team and aren't playing well together as a team. It's like you saw in the World Baseball Classic how many of these guys popped off were really playing well. We've seen the track records out of a lot of these guys' major league careers, but it's like as a unit, whenever the 9 is in there that are in there, and it's weird because there's more than 9 guys that are playable, but not enough playable spots in terms of positions because Yoshida can't play second or third base, or same with Duran or whatever it may be. It's just there's not like great lineup chemistry, and I think that's something that kills them too. Like as individual parts, they're good. As a whole, it's pretty underwhelming.
I disagree on the part that it's pretty good on paper. I think if you
No,
have
the
multiple
individual
black
parts are
holes,
good on the individual parts are good on paper. Like a lot of it, but it's like a lot of those individual parts are underperforming. Like I don't think the lineup is a good lineup, but like you look at somebody like a Jaron Duran on paper, good baseball player, vastly underperforming this year.
I think
That's more of what
I
saying.
think where I mean is you put a lot of pressure on a guy like Carlos Narvaez, a guy that didn't even hit really well in the minor
Sure.
leagues, and you're trusting him to put up that season again, where I think that was a career year in his rookie season. You're trusting guys like Caleb Durbin, who I think also put up a career year in his rookie season. These are guys are turning into black holes. You know, Carlos Narvaez and Caleb Durbin had hits today, but these guys have been black holes in the lineup for the 20, what are we at? 21, 22 games so far in the season, something like that.
Yeah, 22.
You need to not have automatic outs at the bottom of your lineup. Jaron Duran, I think, will figure it out at some point. He's not going to be a zero. Eventually, he's going to have an offensive outburst, and he's going to put up a good 3 to 4 weeks that he's a great, great offensive player. I do believe that. But right now, he can't be a zero in the lineup.
So I kind of want to rip that Band-Aid off with you guys and see what you thought. What do you do with Duran at this point? He's hitting 164. Yoshida's obviously shown his ability. He's hitting 300 on the nose, putting together great at bats, not striking out, getting on base. Like at a certain, you have to start Yoshida every day. You know, I've been of the belief that Duran has to play every day in order to get out of this funk. But guess what? We need our best 9 out there in order to win games and can stop digging ourselves into this hole. Like, are we at the point where we're playing Yoshida over Duran for these next 4 or 5 games to try to get the best 9 out there? Like, what do you guys think on that?
I'm not putting Rafael at second base. That's where
we're coming around. We're coming around.
I'm going to tell you the exact play. That play in the 9th inning today where he just kind of nonchalantly let that ball go past him. If he's not going to play good center field, he's going to play second base.
Like that's the whole conundrum with Rafael is what makes him so valuable. He's a platinum glove center fielder, and if he's not a platinum glove center fielder, he's just an average player. Like,
I mean, Marcelo Meyer's not showing me enough with the bat that he needs to be in there every day at this point. Like, if those two guys are black holes. Like when I say black holes, Carlos Narvaez, IKF, Monasterio's been enough, I guess. I mean, we have 4 or 5 players that when they're in the lineup, they're zeros. They're going to strike out 3 or 4 times every time they come up there, and they're just below average baseball players that you can have a couple good bats like Roman Anthony and Contreras and Willie Abreu performing well, but when everyone else just sucks, you're not going to win baseball games at a high clip. And eventually they're going to get back to their career means, but you can't have just 5 guys who are terrible in your lineup every day. And Rafael is one of your best hitters at the moment, but if he's not playing center field well at the elite level, you put him at second base, and then you can platoon with Durbin and Meyer at third base. And I think that's your best offensive lineup going forward.
It could be. I cannot stand that 2 of these games, and we'll talk about it too, in those games, the lineup's consistent, and we had an infield that consisted of Durbin, Monasterio, and IKF of any combination. One game Story DH'd, one game Contreras DH'd. That just can't happen. Regardless if you put Rafael at second base, it doesn't matter. That cannot happen in any regard. That is a lineup that Cora puts out there and goes, this is a reset game. That's a reset lineup for the next game. That is complete crap. I am not looking at those lineups and going, that's our best competitive chance to win today's game.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the whole conundrum with Rafael at second or center. It's like, what's our best offensive lineup? Because, well, here's the other, then there's the other angle. The team was built on pitching and defense. You just put your best defensive 9 out there and say, screw it, and try to win on one run prevention. Like, there's multiple angles to this, none of which are working. So it's like, I feel like it doesn't matter right now.
But if you want to go by like the defensive run saves and that kind of stuff, the best defensive lineup is Rafael and not in center field.
Right, at the moment, yes. I'm talking about
I don't agree. Yeah. I don't agree with that. I don't think that'll be the case when you get down to it in the end of the season. But right now, he's not playing good center field, and that's just what the stats say, and the eye test backs it up. I do think it's better than what the stats say. I think 1 or 2 really bad plays have skewed it, but you need it. If Jaron Durant can put up what he's doing or better, then why not put him out there and let him get his everyday at bats in center field at least until you make up your mind, Craig Breslow, and trade one of these players.
Yeah, I mean, gonna go.
I was going to say, it makes the argument a lot easier knowing how bad Mayer and IK, like your current options at second base are doing at the plate. They aren't producing. They aren't doing anything. They're not helping your team win, even defensively too. It's like if Sadon is swinging one of the best bats on the team, it's like, Again, yeah, I'm not lobbying for it. I don't think we should put him at second base, but I definitely see the argument for it in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys know I really like Duran. Think he's a great player, but at a certain point, Yoshida has to start every day, and like tough decisions have to be made. Like it's not like you're 14-8, have a little bit of breathing room and let guys get through this. You're playing New York, Baltimore, coming up over your next six. Those are two teams in the division. New York, obviously, they're both very good teams, and New York, obviously, right at the top of the division. Yoshida has to play in all three of those games, and unfortunately, if that's Durant sitting all three, it's Durant sitting all three. Like I don't know if there's an answer to this, but it's like at a certain point you have to play your best nine, and Yoshida is one of your best nine. He's one of your best like 4 or 5 hitters. Forget best nine. So find a position for him.
We're facing Max Fried, so I'm assuming Durant's not going to play that game, no matter what.
Yeah, and Yoshida might not either. Who knows? Like they might go ultra right a heavy with talk about your lineup with Monasterio, and that might be your full Monasterio, Durbin, everyone.
Yeah, that might be the Monasterio batting second lineup.
Oh my god!
At least they'll be tomorrow and rip the Band-Aid off.
It really is one of these moments we're about to face. Yeah, exactly. Rafael to second base, IKF to the sun. I will drive him to the sun myself.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like put Meyer at third. Like Meyer played good defensive third base last year. They want to platoon Meyer and Durbin for now since they both haven't shown anything to the bat. Fine. IKF obviously had the 2-run single today on the dying Quail, but that first at bat, the 2-strike bunt, like I know that's not his decision, but it's like that also goes back to Duran. Like if Duran is getting pinch hit for IKF to bunt with 2 strikes, what does that say about how they feel about Jaron right now? Like that's the other point too.
If you can't ask Duran to bunt, one of the fastest guys on the team, like really, what is he providing then?
Yeah, and again, this is not the guy he's going to be all year. But right now, you need to win ball games, and you need to get your best 9 out there. And if that's Yoshida over him, all 3 of these Yankees games, then that's the case. I don't know, but yeah, I think Rafael at a second kind of maximizes everything because you get a Meyer and Durbin platoon at third. You can play all your outfielders and Yoshida and hope Duran works out of it. And if he doesn't, then you can reconsider.
Do you think that Cora is ready to make that move to have Meyer play over at third base? Is he ready for that conversation?
I don't know, but what I do know is that Cora manages best when he manages with aggression, and I don't think he's managed with much aggression and much fire in 26. I think we saw him do that a lot when he came back in 21. Obviously, his first year here in 18. We saw him do it at times in 24. We saw him do it last year, especially in the second half when Bregman came back, and after the Devers trade really went when it was Roman's team. When Cora is managing aggressively, pushing those buttons, A, in the lineup, but B, those in-game buttons, bringing Whitlock in for, 4 or 5 outs instead of 3, bringing Chapman in for a 4 or 5 out save, that's when he's at his best. And I don't think he's managed with that same aggression. I think he's managing it slowly, like it's April. Hey, it's a long season. We're going to get out of this. Yes, it's a long season. You have 140 games left, but at the same time, it's like you can't continue to fall more games back. You're 4.5 games back right now. Like you can't continue to dig yourself a hole in the standing and say, oh, we'll get out of it. Look at what happened in 2019. They started off 6-13, won 84 games. Maybe if they started out 500, they make the playoffs that year. And I'm not saying that year ends in a World Series title, but it's like you can't just manage it like with ease. Like you're playing New York and Baltimore next. You cannot continue to fall further behind. I'd like to see AC manage with some aggression. And I'd also like to see everyone on the coaching staff look themselves in the mirror and coach, manage whatever with the same aggression. Because I have a comment on Kyle Hudson in a minute.
Yeah, and you're also facing Toronto too. So the next 9 games are against division rivals to end the month. It's like if we're going into May and we didn't make a dent in the standings, like that. If that's not a wake up call, I don't know what is. But I'm looking at the next 9 games. If I'm Cora, if I'm anyone in that clubhouse, I'm going, this is our damn chance, and I will do anything that is going to possibly lead to some success. Because what has been happening is just not even close to acceptable.
Yeah, and if I'm Breslow, I'm pretty nervous because if things start to go sideways, might start to sell pieces. His job might be up. Like it'll get dicey over these next 9 to 12 if things don't go well. Because then after that, you play Houston, and then you're back at the Tigers. So it's like it's a real gut check time. This is why they couldn't afford to start off the way they did, but they put themselves in this position and have nobody to blame but themselves.
You're talking about Breslow's job, and do you think that has anything to do with ownership being there every single day and being visible almost every single home game? They haven't done that in the past. They've probably been there, but they're very visible. They want to be on the cameras. It looks like they look like they're showing face for a reason.
I think that the cameras are showing them more. I don't think they're necessarily at Fenway more. I think John Henry has been fairly present at Fenway. The last few years, I know Cotillo and other beat reporters said he's been around the same. I think once the sell the team chant started early in the season, I think NESN who's owned by John Henry, showing him on camera more. I think that's what it is. I don't think he's there. Sure, and it's great that he's more engaged, but it's like I think they're just showing him more. I think he's been there. And look, maybe with him looking over Breslow's shoulder, he's starting to get a little nervous too. But I personally just think Nesson is showing him more.
I agree.
We could talk about the Breslow thing, whatever, later, but I think it's not going to happen until at least next year, just because nobody wants the job. But I do think his seat, I do think he's on the hot seat eventually.
Oh, his seat is hot. That's for
sure. I don't. The only reason I don't think he gets fired is because I don't think they can have a replacement for him, unless Theo is that guy again, and he's not going to be that guy.
I mean, the replacement. I know we talked about this on Wednesday. The replacement might be Cora. That's the other thing.
I think that's moronic at this point, because I think Cora is in the same situation. Like if you want to fire one, you have to fire them both and give the GM the new decision maker of baseball operations needs to bring in his own manager. It has to happen. Cora cannot outlast a fifth or a fourth. It can't happen in my mind. You can't have this manager that takes over everything and is in charge of everything, because that's how it looks at this point. If Heim-Bloom can't last, Dombrowski didn't last past him. If Breslow's definitely not going to last past him, whoever the next guy is probably not going to last longer than Cora.
We'll see.
I mean, I agree, Jerry. I think the cleaning house, if you're going to fire one, you got to fire them all. And I don't think it happens this season. I do think it happens. I know they did Bloom in August, or was it September?
September.
Same
it was the last game of that series.
So yeah, I think it would have to be at the end of the season. And unfortunately, if it comes to that, we're going to suffer through a bad one. But yeah, I mean, we'll have that conversation later, but I don't think
since we're on the coaching staff, I'll go on a tangent here. People upset about Meyer stopping in between third and home. Are you watching Kyle Hudson telling him to stop? Like that was ridiculous by Hudson. I don't know why you don't push the envelope there with one out in that Contreras fly ball. But people upset at Meyer. Hudson was 3 steps ahead of him, running with him down the line, telling him exactly what to do. That was not Meyer's call. That was Hudson's call. No reason not to push the envelope. And for someone who's been a third base coach for 3 years, we have said his name way too much. Way too much for
always in the negative too. Always.
Well, you're only talking about a third base coach in the negative. Let's be real. So but we have said his name way too much the last 3 years. Like 2.25. It hasn't even been 3 full seasons. Like I don't know. But anyone who's mad at Meyer for that, look at Kyle Hudson.
Yep, absolutely. You're winning today's game, and we'll get into it too. But with a great aggressive base running, that was a big highlight for today's game. Yeah. How do you not push the envelope, like you said, James, with Mayer there at third?
Especially early in the game. It's not like that was the first out, the fly ball. You still have the chance for a big inning. That was the second out. A fly ball can't score him on 2 outs. Granted, Abreu walks in the next at bat, so the run scores anyway. But it's like you want to push the envelope. It's not always going to work out that way.
You want to focus on the second one, because the middle games we can kind of go through quickly.
I do want to say one more thing about Friday night.
Go ahead.
Yoshida in the clutch. I know we talked about Yoshida, but I don't want to breeze over that. 7 walk-offs in the City Connect Greens, all 7 wins being walk-offs.
Yes, I did want to touch on that one.
There is magic, as Will Fleming says, as the Red Sox Social says, there is magic in those green uniforms.
I mean, the yellows used to have the magic. It looks like that's totally gone now.
Let's get rid of the yellows forever.
Yeah,
get rid of them. Get them out.
That one.
Get them out.
I think everyone agrees on that. The yellows, that better be the last season of those, but we'll see. Yeah. So unfortunately, the Red Sox lost the 2 middle games here. On Saturday, it was Skubal versus Bayo. Unfortunately, we kind of all predicted a loss on that game, with Skubal kind of dominating 6 innings, 1 run. We did want to bring up the 5th and the 6th inning, though, when the Red Sox kind of had Skubal on the ropes. In the 5th inning, they had the bases loaded with no outs, and they scored 1 run. In the 6th inning, they had a 1st and 3rd, no outs, and they scored 0 runs. When you have Tarek Skubal on the ropes and you had the opportunity to put up a crooked number on the board and you don't, you're never going to win the baseball game. And that's just kind of how it was. It's Tarek Skubal. Bayo didn't give you a chance to win, and it was kind of a pathetic baseball game. And we saw a lot of bad reactions on Twitter, on Red Sox Twitter, on Red Sox social media. The fans were out for blood and they were upset. And I was too, but kind of want your reactions on that one. That one was a hard game, a really bad offensive performance. I know it was Tarek Skubal, but you didn't get anything. There was no positives all around.
It's really hard to win any baseball game with 5 hits when you're striking out 12 times, only walking twice, regardless of who's pitching. We've seen we've seen the Red Sox strike out 12 times against non-Skubal, tiered pitchers. Obviously, we know it's Skubal. Skubal was Skubal himself, right? But just another embarrassment of a performance. Another one of these games where you're watching, you're like, why am I dedicating the time to pay attention to this game right now, right? And again, going back to your point with the loaded bases in the 5th inning too, it was off of a double play too, correct, Connor Wong? It was
a routine double play as it gets, and they traded a run, 2 outs for a run, and that was the right move. And it was just a pathetic routine, like 88 mile per hour ground ball right at the shortstop, flip it out. It was an uncompetitive at bat. Lift the ball in the air, at least look like you're trying. I know it's Tarek Skubal, and you're not that great of a hitter compared to, like, Connor Wong is not that good of a baseball player compared to the rest of the league. But you got to lift the ball, make it look like you're giving a competitive at bat. You got to score at least 1 or 2 in those innings. You got to score at least 1 each. Yeah.
And then the double play, that run shouldn't even count, right? Like, if I'm the Red Sox, I'm like, that run doesn't even feel good, right?
It's not an RBI. It's not an RBI.
It's not, and it shouldn't be. But overall, just an embarrassment of a game too. Bayo. When can we start talking about Bayo, right? Like,
that's what I wanted to talk next. I put a tweet out there. This just might be who he is, and I kind of agree with it right now. I know he had a great season last year. The FIP didn't really agree with it. He kind of outperformed his peripherals, but Brian Bayo at the moment is your 6th or 7th best starter on the baseball team. We're going to talk about Peyton Tolley coming up later. He's dominated so far. Jake Bennett's had a great first few weeks of the season. Right now, Brian Bayo has shown me nothing that he is one of the top 5 best pitchers on this baseball team. And I know he has a couple of years of track record. Last year was his only really good year. And if he's not going to improve, what is he, 26, 27 years old? If he's not improving and he's getting worse, I don't know what to do with him going forward. We're paying him a decent amount of money. It's just right now I don't like watching him pitch either. It's just not that fun. He's annoying to pitch. Like Will said, it's like, why are we watching this game when he's giving you absolutely zero chance to win? He's walking 4 guys. He can't get through 5 innings. He's throwing 96 pitches. Like, it's just an unwatchable experience, and it's not fun.
Yeah, Saturday seemed like a scheduled loss with Skubal versus Bayo. I think the other thing with Bayo, and obviously I am not the biggest Bayo supporter. Yeah, I think he's a fine pitcher. He's not a number 2. He's a number 4, maybe a number 3. But I also think the biggest thing with him is that he's predicated on a good defense behind him. And I'm not saying necessarily in Saturday's start, but just as a generality. The team doesn't have a good defense. They haven't had a good defense pretty much his entire time here. So, like, a guy who's predicated on a good defense behind him, like, don't put him in such a prominent position in the rotation, prior to this year. It's like, he needs a good defense behind him. He's a sinker baller. He's at his best when he's pitching to contact, not pitching for the strikeouts. All right, build a better defense behind him. Like, I'm just saying in general terms, Saturday was just, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just, and that's kind of been what he's, been the last 3 years. Just a lot of, Like, I don't know. He was good. He was very good last year, but in 22 when he came up, he was good. I think he was really overhyped by the fan base because we hadn't had a homegrown pitcher since Clay Buchholz and John Lester. And I think it's just been a lot of mid, like, sometimes good, sometimes not good, but just a lot of, like, underwhelming and unremarkable overall throughout his career. And that's continued this year.
And it seems like his starts from the last few seasons too, they always start off like a little rocky. He smooths out for like the 2nd, 3rd, maybe 4th inning, and then the second the wheels start falling off, it derails quickly, and it's a train wreck.
Like, it's not it's like a lot of it is not a blow up, like, 9 earned runs like Crochet or the other night or whatever it may be, but it's never like 6 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, no earned runs. It's always just a mixed bag. 4 innings, 4 1/3, 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. And it's like, all right, like, it just, nothing's ever clean. It's a lot of, like, herky jerky.
It's just not a fun, smooth watching experience when you have a guy like, I'd rather watch a Peyton Tolley pitch. I'd rather watch these other guys go out there and compete. I'd rather not watch Brian Bayo has a very good sinker, not throw it in the zone when he's very capable of throwing the sinker right down the middle, giving up 2 or 3 solo home runs in a start and not walking 4 guys and going 6 or 7 innings, give up 2 or 3 runs. And that's a lot more enjoyable pitching performance to watch when he throws the sinker right down the middle and he competes with it and he gives up a solo shot, but he also gets 12 to 13 ground balls in his outing. That's the pitcher I want to watch, not the guy that sits here and nibbles, throws the cutter 25 to 30% of the time, and he's trying to nibble and he throws the sinker off the zone and he's walking 4 or 5 batters every time he pitches. That's not the Brian Bale we need. We need the guy who attacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it's been the story of the season. The team is built on starting pitching, and it's like just not a lot of clean starts. And if we want to segue that into Sunday, we can segue that into Sunday, but not a lot of clean starts.
But we'll get into Sunday with Crochet because I think he's a big talking point. A lot of people are concerned about him, rightfully. I think it's fair to be concerned about him going forward. We know it's not injury concerned. We know he looked like himself for a few innings on Sunday, but he lost it again. If you guys want to start off with him, give us your reactions from that start because I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm concerned too. It's like the first inning, they score the 1 run, you get out of it. And then he actually found his rhythm for a little bit, kind of settled in. You're like, okay, is he back? Is he cleared from the, whatever that was in Minnesota? And then he just absolutely fell apart well before what you expect from even a less than Crochet caliber start. Now is the time to worry. I don't know. I was also thinking too, I saw on Twitter that someone broke down side by side his mechanics. I do believe it's a mechanic issue. I don't think he's hurt. Kind of reinforced that idea too in his post-game conference. I will give it, his peanuts for that. He did speak to the media for a long time after the game too. I think it was almost 7 minutes too.
Yeah, it was a long time.
You can see his passion. It's not just him rolling over and saying, "Oh, next start." He's really invested in this, and I really hope they get to the bottom of it because, man, do we need him.
Yeah. So wanted to break down his pitch usage a little bit yesterday, and obviously, it wasn't as bad as the Minnesota start, but it was tough. So obviously after that start, he said it was about being less predictable with his pitch mixage and pitch usage. And what he said in between starts was, I've got to be less predictable. And yesterday he threw 86% from the fastball groups again. And the fastball group is the 4-seamer, the cutter, and the sinker. And Red Sox Stats had that on Twitter. So his pitch usage yesterday, 37.6% on the 4-seamer. And I know we were calling for him to use the 4-seamer more after the Minnesota start, getting back to it a bit. But that is a huge jump from 23.6% to 37.6%. The sinker was about the same. It was 27.3 against Minnesota. Yesterday it was 25.8. The cutter was way down from the Minnesota start, 36.4. Yesterday was only 18.3. But everything was just up in the zone, and he wasn't locating. And after that home run on the 5th, was that Jones who hit? Yeah, that was Jones. Jahmai Jones who hit.
He hit the first one, right?
Yes. And Crochet just unraveled. I know in the first inning he gives up that RBI double to Veerling. Really settled in after, had 8 strikeouts, and he was locating. It seemed like, all right, had bounced back from the rough start. Then he just imploded. He lost his command. I think after Jones, he walked the next hitter on 4 straight pitches, if I'm not mistaken, whether it was Torres or McGonigal. Yeah, it was Torres. He walked him on 4 straight pitches, I believe, and then Veerling came up, and then Dingler, obviously, with the 3-run homer. But, that was the pitch usage, and so he was still, even though it was more 4-seamers, less sinkers, less cutters, he was still very, very predictable. And, he lost all his command, and I think he's looking for answers, too, because if Crochet is not the guy we need him to be, and not a Cy Young finalist, this Red Sox team has 0 chance. Not that they've had a chance thus far this year, I'm not saying that, but they just, they have no chance. And I've got a couple of quotes from him from Cotillo's article after the game. He said, quote, "The performance up to this point, I've said it, it's unacceptable multiple times going back to Houston, but it's still the case." And then he said, "The last one was so bad you can't have any emotion about it. This one, I felt like I was dominating until I wasn't." And then, Cora said in that inning, he just lost it, it seems like. Besides that, before the first inning, the stuff was really good. The 4-seamer played, the sinker, the cutter, the velo was up there today. Some positive strides, but the last inning didn't work out. So overall, I think you can chalk it up to a very poor lack of execution. And one more quote to talk about predictability. He said, "To be honest, I don't even know if that, meaning predictability, was ever really the issue. I think that was more of what I thought was the issue right now. It's that every mistake I make is getting absolutely hammered. It's because they are mistakes when I'm behind in the count. So, I mean, he realizes it's a lack of command, lack of control in the zone, not really controlling the strike zone, but it's like he's got to locate better. And I do think it is predictability. I mean, if 87% of his pitches are from the fastball group, guys can sit on a speed. Maybe they're sitting between 92 and 96, but it's a lot easier to time up a speed than to time up, just sitting on a curveball or a changeup.
I agree. I mean, what 87% fastballs only. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you need more of the changeup. It looks like we've gone down from the changeup than we did last year.
Yeah.
I know on the broadcast, Merlone and Dave O'Brien were talking about the sweeper, kind of talking crap about it. Honestly, I didn't appreciate that. To be honestly, I didn't like it. I didn't like how they were acting. This is your guy, your ace that you want to go out there and support no matter what. This is a Crochet I'm going to support no matter what. If he goes out there and he gets up 9 bombs in 2 innings, this is a guy that I think he's going to get back to it eventually. I am scared for him right now. I think there's an issue. I do think it's mechanical, like you said. He did say he felt like the best stuff-wise this season, right? I think that was one of his quotes in his very long press conference kind of that he did after the game, which I do commend him for. I think was very, very great. That I think was very leader-wise. Like, I think it was a very good leadership move for him, especially for the pitching staff, that he's showing that he's going to put himself out there, take accountability for his very poor performance, and put this team on his back kind of and say that they need to play better and he needs to lead it. If he's not, like James said, if this guy is not the ace that he needs to be, or at least a slightly worse than he was last year, the Red Sox are not making the playoffs. They're not going to be above 500, and they're not going anywhere if Garrett Crochet doesn't come back to his 2025 form somewhat.
Yeah. I don't think, I just want to say one thing on the OB and Loomer point. I don't think they were bashing him in a bad way. I just think they were holding him accountable just like us and being like, look, if this guy isn't a stud, we have no chance. And that's the truth. And Garrett will be the first one to tell you that. So it's not like it's not like nobody's support. I think everyone's supporting him, but they also know, like, dude, without Crochet being the pig, like, we ain't anything this year.
My thing on that is just like, if you're going to talk about Garrett Crochet, why can't we bash Durbin? Why can't we bash Marcelo Meyer? Why can't we give these other guys stuff when they're the reasons why? I mean, Garrett Crochet is also a reason why.
Yeah, I mean,
but also, if you break it down, when the Red Sox won game 1 of the season, Garrett Crochet was the reason why they won. And then their next win, Garrett Crochet was the reason why they won. So Garrett Crochet almost has like most of your wins for you. Like, it's not like Garrett Crochet didn't have 2 great starts to start the season. He has some good.
It's the expectations and what the team is built around. Like, they need Crochet to be a guy again, a top 3 Cy Young finisher again.
He needs to be the top. He needs to be the 3rd best pitcher in the league, which is what he was last year.
Yeah.
I think too, I mean, this is where I focus on Andrew Bailey, right? It's like we know what we have in Crochet. This is back-to-back starts where he's telling you he's not hurt. It's not an injury thing. He's not sick. This is where you work with Crochet, runner-up in Cy Young last year, to bring him back to being the Cy Young caliber starting pitcher ace that he is, right? Like, Andrew Bailey might be on like he, at least to me, is on the hot seat as long as Crochet does not.
Yeah, I don't know what Bailey does.
I don't either.
Talk about this too. I don't know what Bailey does.
I really have no idea either. Every time he visits the mound, it looks like it doesn't do anything, or like the pitcher looks more confused. Whoever the pitcher is on the mound, it was like more confused after Bailey leaves too. I just, if I'm Bailey, it's like I'm given this beautiful starting pitcher of a weapon, right? And it's like, again, like I just said, back-to-back starts where it's really worrisome. Obviously, something's not right. You're this pitching coach to lead this Red Sox that is striving on starting pitching and pitching in general. And now it's like, okay, now do your job and work with Crochet. And whether it is mechanical or him tipping, which I don't think it is tipping anymore, I think it's more mechanical, fix that. This is your job. This is what you do. You have to be able to fix this. This is on Andrew Bailey as much as it is on Crochet.
And Breslow.
And Breslow, of course. Always is.
Andrew Bailey his philosophy only works with like a certain archetype of pitchers, and Garrett Crochet is the total opposite of that guy. Garrett Crochet is a guy that goes out there and throws as hard as he possibly can with a nasty sweeper, dominates in the zone, and shoves it up other teams' butts. That's not a guy that you need to be cute with a bunch of cutters, a bunch of sinkers. Go out there, throw hard, throw the sweeper, and throw the changeups to your right-handed hitters. Go out there and dominate. Throw it in the zone. You don't need to be cute with these cutters and take off velocity when you have 97, 98 in the bag. Why are you throwing 93 when you throw 98? There's no reason for that.
And you know it works. The Crochet dominated last year for a reason, doing what he does, and that's throwing hard, right? With some movement obviously mixed in there. Andrew Bailey could have like a little bit of effect there too. But man, if it's not broke, why fix it?
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, I was skeptical on Bailey forever. I know he's had his wins, his guys he's fixed. I know Logan Webb has given him a lot of credit in the past out there in San Francisco, but that is years ago. And if he's not doing anything for you now, it's time to move on. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's Breslow's guy, and he'll be here as long as Breslow's here. We just had that conversation. We don't know how long Breslow will be here, but I don't see him just being fired by Breslow midseason. That's not going to happen in my mind.
No. Breslow's going to ride or die with him, and I think the problem is I feel like he's so predicated on that cutter sinker usage, and it's like it doesn't. You can't force guys into that mold. It doesn't always work. Like even Houck in 24, lightning in a bottle for a half, and then he imploded. Obviously, it wasn't great in the second half. Then last year was abysmal. Now he's shelved. It's like, I think there's a lot of guys with Bailey that he has small wins with, but nothing big. Obviously, he and Walker Buehler, or it wasn't just necessarily him, but the Red Sox pitching philosophy and Walker Buehler did not agree. I think there's a lot in the Andrew Bailey pitching lab, the Red Sox pitching lab, that hasn't worked out the last few years. And I think a lot of it does fall back on Bailey. Like, what exactly are they doing? Because I feel like a lot of guys are leaving the organization, whatever it may be, and succeeding. They couldn't unlock Kyle Harrison, but Milwaukee sure has done that. Couldn't find a spot for Priester, in the minors with depth. Look at him last year with Milwaukee. Won 14 games, started 2 games in the playoffs. Like it's just, and I know that's not necessarily directed to Bailey particularly, but just the whole pitching department and the pitching lab. It's like, Breslow, a guy who has a pitching background. It's like, I think we got to reevaluate how we're doing this, like this whole thing.
I think Breslow and Bailey have just one philosophy, and they try to push it on everybody when they should have 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different philosophies for different archetypes of pitchers. Like Craig Breslow and Garrett Crochet are totally different. Breslow's tiny compared to Crochet. Crochet is like 5 or 6, 7 inches taller than Breslow ever was. I mean, you can't compare like a Josh Winkowski to a guy like Garrett Crochet. You can't give these two guys like the same. Josh Winkowski, I know this was like a Heim Bloom guy, but he's the type of guy you give sinker cutters to. You don't give that to a guy like Garrett Crochet or a guy like, Ranger Suarez is a guy you give the sinker cutter to. The guy that throws in that kind of velocity range. I mean, if you have a dominant 4-seam fastball and you have a dominant sweeper, that's what you use. You don't take that away from him.
Yeah, I think the other thing I wanted to go off that is, I think at the beginning in 24, Bailey did a really, really good job of pitching to pitcher strengths. What are you good at? This is what we're going to do. And I think he's gotten more of, what are we good at as an organization? What do I like to do? Instead of going back to, what is the pitcher good at? Forget what is the opponent bad at, whatnot. Focus on the pitcher's strengths. What are you good at? What are you best at? This is how we're going to execute, and this is how we're going to win, instead of this opponent is bad at hitting fastballs. And obviously, sure, mix more in if they're not a great fastball hitting team or curveball hitting team, whatever it may be. But go to your guys' strengths and don't keep it in a tunnel or team strengths. Go to each individual. Suarez, use that damn sinker ball. Crochet, use the cutter, use it less. Use the sinker and be less predictable, throw the changeup more. It's like there's different cadences for every guy, not just everyone fits into the same profile.
I have Peyton Tolley on that same kind of category of, let's see what like he does with this Red Sox pitching staff. Again, Andrew Bailey, but also what Andrew Bailey like trickle down effect is with a guy like Peyton Tolley, this flamethrower. Let's see his extra stuff too. That's also another name where I'm like, Andrew Bailey, man, like, Peyton Tolley's success. I'm looking at you, Andrew Bailey, whether he is or not.
And speaking of Tolley, I think we'll get that chance on Sunday. Samaniego got called up for tomorrow to be an extra arm. Tolley was scratched, I think, from his start on Sunday in case the Sox did play a doubleheader today. But after tomorrow, that turn in the rotation will come up again on Sunday against the O's in Baltimore. I think that's when we'll see Tolley. I probably just want to get Samaniego an extra arm up tomorrow. Maybe they'll make another corresponding move to get Tolley up. But yes, I'm excited to see I know Carabas said it on Twitter during the game today, or maybe it was right after. The vibes of Peyton Tolley being in the clubhouse, maybe that's the energy shift the team needs.
Peyton Tolley and playing the Yankees, I do think, is the best chance to turn things around. You're not wrong there. I mean,
It's not gonna be, but I don't disagree. Just give it a shot and see what happens.
At this point, why not try?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it sucks that Sonny Gray had to go on the IL to get Peyton Tolley. I mean, Peyton Tolley hasn't even been called up yet, but that is obviously the guy that's going to come up.
Samaniego will go down after the game tomorrow.
Yep.
Yes. Or it doesn't even have to be him because I think Samaniego is very good. But yes, it could be Anderson that goes down as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the other guy that has a chance. Unless it depends if they want to keep the lefty for the Yankees series.
Right.
If that could be very well possible that they want to just have an extra lefty for the Yankees, keep Ben Rice on the bench as much as possible. I can see that happening.
That's a Boone problem because whether it's right now, whether it's a righty or a lefty or somebody who's ambidextrous, Rice should be playing every day.
I agree.
It doesn't matter whether you're playing on Mars, whether you're playing at Fenway, that's a Boone issue. And look, 2003 somehow continues to be the gift that keeps on giving to Red Sox fans because Boone would still not be the Yankees manager if that didn't happen. But that doesn't make a ton of sense not having Rice in the lineup every night. And yeah, that's a different topic. But
yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the reason why. And I'd rather have the lefty start. I mean, we still have let's get into today's game really quickly, and then we'll get into the Yankees series. Because we will be facing lefties and we'll be using lefties against them. I do think lefties the play against the Yankees lineup. But today, the offense finally scored some runs, 8-6. I do have a few notes. Sonny Gray obviously leaves with an injury. Roman Anthony reached base 4 times, which is very encouraging. Actually, one thing about Roman Anthony, was it yesterday that he threw out the guy at home plate?
Yes,
that I do want to talk about really quickly.
Yeah.
That was the best throw he's had in a very long time, maybe of his career. I was very happy to see that, at least for
great
his
mechanics. Great mechanics. That's all we have right now, guys. That's all we have.
I know. I mean, just for Roman's sake, so he stops getting talked about. I mean, it sucks to see Roman Anthony just shit on Twitter just because he can't throw the ball. And I was doing it myself. Like, those couple throws that he made were just embarrassing. You can't have those throws at the major league level. But I was very happy to see him actually have an outfield assist, a good strike home. And, for his sake, good for him, good for the Red Sox to finally have something positive to talk about on that game at least.
I know, James, you brought up Hudson not sending Mayer today. You want about third base coaches with horrible sends? Look at that. That was a horrible send.
I agree, but with the way Anthony had been throwing, you got to send him until he shows he can throw somebody out.
That's exactly my point. It says a lot as to what other teams think of Roman being in left field because he sent
I don't blame them. They were up in the game.
Absolutely.
Might as well.
I agree with you, James. I think I would have sent him there too. I mean, you put the pressure on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
If anyone else is in left field, though, that's a hold, right? If Yoshida's in left field, maybe even we hold him there. I just overall, that was just not a smart send, but that shows you what the Tigers and other teams think of when they see Roman in left field, right? And when the lack of that arm is there, right? Great throw, highlight of the game probably for us, which is pretty sad, but geez, insane send.
Yeah, and the thing is that his arm value right now is in the 17th percentile in Savant, so it's -1, but his OAA is in the 63rd percentile, so nothing to write home about, but not anything. His range is not poor. It's just the arm strength overall, but I think that was a big confidence booster. Not that was the hardest throw in the world to make, but he needed to. It's kind of like someone who's in a goal scoring drought in hockey. You need to see one go into the back of the net. You need to see a good throw being made in the end. They out record, and hopefully that just unlocks his confidence, because again, it seemed like it was a mechanical thing from everything that Cora was saying, the outfield coaches were saying. It seemed like it was purely mechanical. You get the yips sometimes, and you just can't get out of your own way. So that was the highlight of the game, unfortunately for us.
And then actually, the same point too, Lou was mentioning it too, but Durbin's RBI double in the bottom of the ninth
that
inning
kind of unlocked him too. Yeah,
that's another one of those where it's like garbage time. That didn't really matter too much, but for the actual player himself, he had another double today too. Back-to-back games with doubles. Like, all right, I'll take that from Durbin. Why not?
He was on
any sign of life.
Today.
Any sign of life from Durbin, I'll happily take.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope he's heating up and goes on a heater. We need it. We need some sort of production from the third base spot because it's been a black hole all season long. no matter who's
Yeah.
been playing there.
Speaking of third base, Gene has a comment. Keep Meyer in the lineup for at least a couple of weeks. At least he's sound defensively. I know that's a second base, third base. Like obviously right now it fits a second base. I don't think third base is a discussion, but I mean if the hopefully that gets Durbin going today. Obviously that on base 3 times. Meyer right now 182 with a 549 OPS. Durbin is at 162 with a 495 OPS. So neither guy is really doing anything. It might come down to a battle of the gloves. And ultimately, they might just go a defensive line at first and keep both of them in there. But I do think at a certain point, going back to everything that you've said, Nick and Will, about black holes in the lineup, that they're going to have to find a way to not start both Durbin and Meyer regularly until they start to hit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do. I'm happy to start about the Yankees series going into this.
Real quick, my last point before we jump into the Yankee series, even entering today, I noted that we scored a total of 4 runs in the 28 innings of the first 3 games, and one of those was a ghost run, and then one of those runs, like I just mentioned, was that garbage time Durbin double the 9th inning yesterday too. I'm sorry, in yesterday's game, that right there is unacceptable. I know you're facing Skubal, I know you're facing Valdez. It doesn't matter who you're facing. 4. I call 3+ runs is ridiculous. That is insanity. I'm so glad that today we actually scored runs, but overall,
what innings did you say that stat was?
I said in the last 28 innings. So that was game 1, 2, and 3.
Total,
of the first 3 games, right?
Yeah, first 3 games. Yeah, but
and one was like you said, one was a fake run.
The ghost runner, and then one was that Durbin double in the 9th inning. That's just embarrassing.
I had 2 quick points about today. Narvaez with 2 hits. He's been really going through it lately, so hopefully that can get him going. Good to see that. Obviously, Rafaela coming through in the clutch. I know we talked about that, but especially coming in off the bench, that's a hard spot. And he chased a ball that was way out of the zone, but that's kind of typical of him. Like it is kind of fitting that he got a hit on that. But Ryan Watson is so lucky that this team just needs arms that can throw, and that he's a Rule 5 pick, because he would be my choice to go to the minors before Anderson or before Samaniego again. But obviously, he needs to be on the roster for 90 days, I believe it is, as a Rule 5 pick. And they need capable guys who can just throw. Like, forget throwing strikes, just throw. Because, boy, that was tough having to bring Chapman in today.
So bad. So brutal. And actually, before we jump into the Yankee series, Nick, unless you want to mention bullpen.
One thing, I was going to tweet it this morning, and I didn't do it. The Red Sox have 13 home runs. Which is on pace for a 100 total.
Jordan has 10.
Last year, the fewest amount of home runs by a single team was 117, and that was the Pirates. I'm going to say the Red Sox go over that, but in 2025, the next closest team, the 29th ranked team, was 148 total home runs. That was the Cardinals. Do the Red Sox hit over 148 total home runs this season? I'm saying absolutely not.
No.
It's the 2017 Sox all over again.
This team's going to finish
not a division-winning team.
Worst or second worst, in my opinion, in home runs in the league. I was just going to say, I tweeted this the other day, and it did change after Contreras hit his homer and whatnot. But going into the Tigers series, tied for 8th on the Red Sox in home runs, if you look it up on RedSox.com, was Aroldis Chapman. Like, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about like the lack of power this lineup presents night in and night out, I don't know what does. It is absolutely insanity that we're sitting here. We have 13 homers.
Yeah, you can tell me this is an obvious point because it is, but like every single successful Red Sox team of this iteration with this ownership group has come with a masher at DH, and obviously that helps when you have Ortiz from 03 to 16. Like, yeah, thanks, obvious point. Nobody in 17. You sign Martinez in 18, you win the World Series. Martinez was there until 2022, and JD was great in all 4 of his full seasons. Made the All-Star team all 4 years. He was excellent, a pure masher. Last year, a bit more of a revolving door. Obviously, you have Devers in there until he gets traded, but it's like every successful Red Sox team just has a pure masher at DH. Could have easily been solved with Alonso or a plethora of other guys, Schwarber, whatever it may be. In 21, obviously, you add Schwarber into that mix with JD as well. But it's like, I'm not saying you have to have an Ortiz, a JD Martinez, a Schwarber, whatever it may be. Get somebody who is just a power hitter and a masher, especially in the ballpark that you play in. Pete Alonso would have turned into Mark McGwire at Fenway with the monster. It's not rocket science. And like, yes, every team who has a masher is going to succeed. Like, pretty obvious point. Like I don't think it's rocket science, but it's like, especially with the Red Sox, given their history, every successful team that they've had has had a pure masher DH. So it's pretty easy, pretty simple solution. Just fix it. Get a damn bat who can hit.
Yeah, I nothing else to say. I mean, it's pathetic what the power is on this team, and it's 120, 130 team home runs. That's just something the Red Sox don't do, and they haven't done in a very long time. They have to get a power bat somehow, some way. I don't know how, but they need one. They need a right-handed guy who can hit 30 over the monster for 4 to 5 years in a row. They have to get that guy.
And again, I think Wilson Contreras does provide some power. I'm not saying that he's about to pop off or anything like that, but it's very telling that today he was sack bunting. Wilson Contreras has 4 homers for us this year. He leads the team in homers.
The last guy you want bunting. Like,
he is sack bunting in the 4th inning, tied game with runs on first and second with no outs. That to me was crazy. I was ready to turn off my game at that point. 4th inning and he's sack bunting our best power hitter. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah, OB was pretty pissed about it too.
As was everyone else watching.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree, but the weirdness of how many bunts the Red Sox have been going on with, they're just struggling to score runs and Cora and the offense. They're trying to do anything, and it's really annoying. And I agree, Wilson Contreras should not be bunting, but it's just at least they're trying something new.
Even in the first inning today, too, that sack bunt, Durbin running down the third base line, Flaherty throwing it past the third baseman, right? I mean, you're an accurate throw away from hitting into it, like bunting into an out there and nothing happening really. It's like you can't bunt forever. That's not what this team can do. And that's not what any major league team can do.
No, you can't. All right. Well, James, you want to start with the Yankee series?
Absolutely. So we got the Yankees coming to town. They're 13-9. They sit at the top of the AL East. They might be actually a half game behind Tampa, depending on how things went today. But 13-9 overall. Luis Hill starting tomorrow, 0-1 this season with a 7 ERA on the nose, 7 strikeouts. Going up against Connolly early, he's 1-0 with a 2.29 ERA and 20 punchouts. Probably the pitching matchup that's in the Red Sox favor the most in this series. So that's a game they have to go out and take advantage of. Wednesday night, Max Fried, 2-1 with a 2.97 ERA, 23 strikeouts, business as usual for the Southpaw. Going up against Ranger Suarez, 1-1 with a 3.22 ERA, 15 strikeouts, and Suarez coming off his best start of the season on Friday. I think that'll be a great pitcher's duel. 2 lefties who attack the zone, pound the zone. Obviously, Fried more of a strikeout pitcher than Suarez, but 2 guys who are very capable of getting the job done, and a game that should be pretty low scoring. And then Thursday night, at 6:10, not at 6:45. Cam Schlittler, 2-1 with a 1.95 ERA and 36 punchouts. He's at the top of Major League Baseball in strikeouts, at the top of the leaderboards. He's been excellent to start this season, going up against Bayo, 1-2 with a 6.75 ERA and only 13 strikeouts. So those are the pitching matchups going forward in the series. Obviously, the last time the Sox saw Schlittler was Game 3 of the Wild Card Series, and he completely shoved against them. Fried pitched very well against them in Game 1 of the Wild Card Series. Boone took him out, and the Red Sox were able to take advantage. But 2 tough pitching matchups. I like the fact that Suarez is going up against Fried. Hopefully that can cancel some of it out. Thursday night will probably be a slog, and hopefully the Sox can take advantage of Hill tomorrow with early on the mound.
Yeah, it's weird to see the Yankees come to Fenway Park on a weekday series. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is usually a Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend series. But yeah, I mean, Game 1, I do think the Red Sox have an advantage with the pitching matchup. Connolly early coming off the best start, or the longest start of his career, at least, going 6 innings, finally getting over that 6th inning mark. I think he's going to go out there and pitch well against the Yankees. I really do. Luis Hill has not had a great start to the season. I know he's had his injuries, at least in spring training and back then. But yeah, I think I'm very happy with the outcome in Game 1. I do think the Red Sox will go out there and hit Luis Hill. I do think seeing the Yankees back at Fenway Park will at least spark the offense a little bit. I do think they could take Game 1. So that is my take. I'm pretty confident about Game 1. I do like Connolly early. I do like his demeanor against a pretty good lineup. I do like that he's left-handed. We talked about Boone taking out one of his best hitters, probably his second best offensive player in Ben Rice. Every time there's a lefty, and that's just a dumb thing to do. It's a Red Sox advantage. So yeah, if you could put 2 lefties in this rotation going, I think that helps you going forward.
Yeah, I think this entire Yankee series. One thing we forgot to mention about this Detroit series, I guess my one positive across all 4 games, we didn't commit a single error, and obviously,
great! Now we're gonna have 4 tomorrow.
So I was going to say either we're going to see a defensive masterclass the next 3 games, or we're going to absolutely blow a tire and wipe out. That being said, clean defense. This series starts with clean defense, right? If the defense isn't there, forget about it. That the pitching's already kind of stacked against us. I do like early in this first game, but their lineup is just so stacked, like offensively. At least we know that they're underperforming. They're 5-5 in their last 10, right? They know that they're underperforming compared to where they can be. I think they're waiting to kind of pop off. We'll see if that's against us. Let's not hope it's not. I do hope that Connolly early goes out there and it kind of like what Nick was saying too. As long as he can go the distance and actually give you some good innings, I feel very confident going into tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow's the game I feel most confident about for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, game 2 we can get into. I mean, I do like that pitching performance. It's on Amazon Prime. Is it also on NESN?
Yeah, that's just Amazon Prime features some Yankees games.
Okay, so
it
will be on NESN, so
yeah.
No issues watching the game. It's 2 good lefties and Max Fried and Ranger Suarez. I'm very
tomorrow's on NESN Plus because of the Bruins.
Yes, I won't have an issue there, but yeah.
Talk about that Bruins and the Celtics romping the Sixers again.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, with game 2, I'm not excited to see Max Fried. He's going to go out there, and I think he's going to dominate us. He's just a very good pitcher. I wish he was on the Red Sox. I do wish we signed him back 2 years ago. It would have been very
well, that poses the question. Would you rather have Fried at his current contract or Crochet at his current contract? And given their age, too. Like that, it was one or the other.
Crochet.
Yeah,
but
like it was going to be one or the other.
I wish you asked me that 2 weeks ago. I would have definitely 100% said Crochet. But yeah, I'm still not concerned enough that I'm going to pick Max Fried.
Right. It's really, would you rather have Fried through his age 37 season or Crochet through his age 31 season? I think it's
the answer is I wanted both. And as Red Sox fans, we should have had both.
Yeah, they could have had both. Yeah.
We're not going to have both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I think Ranger Suarez is going to pitch well. It's just the Yankees are a different lineup than the Tigers and the Cardinals, the last 2 lineups he's faced and dominated. I do think they're going to score against him. I think he'll pitch well enough. It's just, can the offense score enough runs against Max Fried? I don't think so. I don't. So I do think they'll lose game 2. I think it'll be a lower scoring game. I think it'll be a good game and won't be a boring game as long as, like Will said, if they play good defense, I think it'll be a good baseball game, but I don't think they'll score enough runs to win the game.
Yeah, I'm completely with you too. I think Judge, I think Stan, they like to hit at Fenway, right? It just seems like they're just like naturally comfortable at that, at home swinging away. It's a dangerous lineup for a contact pitcher to be going up against in Suarez. So we'll see, but I don't have a lot of faith in this game either.
Yeah, I think I think the Sox take 1 out of 3. I don't think the matchup on Thursday either with Bayo going against that lineup is sits well, and obviously Schlittler with his high strikeout numbers against the Sox who strike out a lot. That matchup just doesn't bode well. The interesting thing to watch in this game will be, does the crowd that Cam Schlittler is building up in his head, will that live up to the hype? I think a lot of the things that he's saying, he's kind of envisioning in his head, and nothing's been predicated to that aside from what he's been talking to the New York Post about. So that'll probably be a talking point, but it's not a great pitching matchup for us. I'll tell you that much. So
I mean, go ahead, Will.
I'll be at the game on Thursday, and I'm looking at this like on my calendar, and I'm like, man, like, why of the entire 3-game series am I going to this game? Right? Like, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be ugly. I guess the one matchup that I will be watching closely on is Judge versus Bayo. Judge has never had real good success against Bayo, especially in the playoffs. He's hitting under 100 batting average in 21 at bats against Bayo. So I guess that will be fun to watch, and it'll be
like that's just a dam waiting to burst. Like they talk about that every time Judge faces Bayo, and it's like, dude, he's about to take him like 500 feet over the monster.
So 2 or 3 homer game for Judge on Thursday. We'll see.
My take on Schlittler on Thursday night is either he's going to give up like 6 or 7 runs or he's going to dominate us and throw 7 or 8 shutout innings. And there's no in between. I hope the crowd is a factor and they go out there and they actually say some stuff to him and get him rattled.
Wouldn't it be better if they just gave him no attention? Because all the attention that he's bringing to himself, he's talking about it. Like, Red Sox fans aren't talking about it. Red Sox fans talk about Schlittler because he talks about Red Sox fans. And like that's whether Yankees fans want to admit that or not, that's the case. And also, like,
I see what you're saying.
He's a self-proclaimed huge Bruins fan. The Bruins are also playing at 7 against Buffalo, so maybe he'll be distracted scoreboard checking the Bruins in between innings. I don't know. I'm looking for any sort of cope at this point.
I get what you're saying, but it's a Red Sox Yankees game and a Red Sox season you're not playing well. It's just like I need you to go out there. I need you to. I don't know. But
Schlittler hadn't been a topic of conversation all week, and he's like, I know they're going to try to. I know they're going to try to grab me. I know there's going to be guys that are my age or a little bit younger chirping me in the bullpen. I know they're going to be saying mean things about me. It's like, you're the one bringing this up upon yourself.
They say that to every pitcher out there, though. This is Fenway Park. Like, obviously,
but the other things that he's claiming are going to happen just don't happen. People aren't going to try to touch him or grab him or whatever like that.
I just want him to know that it happens a lot worse in his own home ballpark, like to the opposing fans or the opposing players.
He wants to be the center of attention.
I would love to see. Do you guys remember that video in 2021 Wild Card? Garrett Cole's warming up the bullpen with Kermit the Frog.
Yeah,
I want to see that with Schlittler as he's warming up now and kind of get his reaction. And post game, just hearing, oh yeah, they're trying to distract me with Kermit the Frog. Like, dude, we are so in your head. It's like rent free. It's rent free, dude. Welcome to Red Sox Yankees. You claim you grew up a big Red Sox fan. You should be used to this. You should know what this like whole ordeal is too. Ben Rice from Cohasset. If I have to hear that one more time, I swear, like. I don't need to hear, oh, he's the only Yankee fan in his family. I don't need to hear any of that stuff.
Look, we got the Bees playing on Thursday. Maybe Rice and Schlittler will be distracted. I don't know.
Even still, even if they are.
Probably not going to be a fun series, and then you're staring at real dire straits going to Baltimore after if they lose the series.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's some magic in the air. You know, you're playing the Yankees. You never know what happens. If you go out there and you sweep them and you embarrass them, that'd be great. But I don't see it happening. I am confident about game 1. I think Connolly Early would go out there and he's got nothing to lose. I think they'll take 1. I don't think they get swept. But, yeah, I think after tomorrow the Red Sox will win. The vibes will be high. People will be excited, and they're going to lose the next 2. And they'll go back 10-15 heading to Baltimore.
Oh boy.
I can't believe we're sitting here going, yeah, if we get 1 out of 3, that's an acceptable series, right? It's like that just shows you where this team is and where that expectation bar is just like plummeting by the day.
At a certain point, you're going to have to pick up a sweep or 2.
You need to win like 5 or 6. I mean, remember when we played the Padres and we won our second game of the season? Crochet won the opener. The Padres have the second best record in baseball now.
Yeah,
they went on a run. They went on a run. That's what the Red Sox need to do. The Padres came into Fenway Park kind of slumping. They came out of Fenway Park a couple weeks later. They're 15-7.
Hey, look, at least we aren't the Mets.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's what you could say. But the Mets still are only like 1 or 2 games behind you, and they lost 11 straight. They started 7-4. The Red Sox did not. They started 2-7.
And in a 3-game series right now, Mets Red Sox. What I
Sox can win that series.
It depends on the pitcher. That's what I was going to say.
Pitching matchup, I don't think the Red Sox touch Nolan McLean. I mean,
probably not.
Do the Mets score? Probably not. Juan Soto's not playing. They don't score.
The fact that
Bichette has been bad.
Yeah, he has been. The fact that we're like comparing ourselves to like the worst, like historically bad, like MLB all time, like historically bad streaks of 11-0-11. Like, come on, it's not even May yet. It's not even May. Come on.
We're coming off a win and we're talking bad about them, but yeah, it sucks. But that's kind of how they are right now. And even when they do score runs, it's not pretty. It's kind of like you said, we're bunting 100 times. Like it's just a weird Red Sox baseball brand, and it's just. It's not as enjoyable as it has been since 2019. It's been a weird era, and I want out of it. I mean, that's really all I have to say for tonight. I mean, it was about an hour and almost 10 minutes here, but do you guys have any final thoughts, really?
it's just it is now or never, right? It's like all of our prospects are up, all the farm guys that we were like promised and promoted of, like, just wait a few more years, Roman Mayer and Tolly and all these guys will be up. It's like now's the time, and we are sinking faster than pretty much ever before, right? It's like it's alarming, and I just there's no end in sight.
It's like the big three. You bring it up, and we're expecting these three players to sit in the middle of our lineup for the next 10 seasons. And right now, Roman Anthony's the only one batting above 200. One of them sitting in the minor leagues. We don't know where he is, if he's ever going to play or have a significant role in the major league team. And Marcelo Meyer, is he ever going to hit at a major league level? We don't know. We were promised this big three, and right now Roman Anthony looks like the only hit. And he hasn't really broken out this year yet.
Yep.
He's getting there.
He will be.
Yeah, I agree with you guys.
My final thought, go Celtics.
Go C's.
Go Celtics.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Unfortunate Bruins loss. That was
Gotta flush it and win tomorrow. That's going to be hard to come back from, though.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a terrible Red Sox game, and then the Bruins lost a couple minutes or right after that. Oh man, but whatever. Thanks you guys for watching tonight. This episode will be published on Spotify and Apple Podcast at Fenway Finale. If you guys want to follow us on all of our socials at Fenway Finale, thanks. And we'll be back soon. Okay. Thank you guys for watching.